Everyone, Jess from WindsorEats back with phase 2 of the bread making process. So when we last left off, I let our dough rest in its bulk fermentation, and it's doubled in size over the course of about 2 to 3 hours. And I'm ready to get it into its final shape and put it in its basket for its final proof. So I've lined the basket with a cloth, and then I've put a mixture of flour on it. So this is half all-purpose flour and then half some type of flour that doesn't have gluten in it. So I've used just blended oats. I've blended oats up and added that to my flour. Typical bread recipes will actually use rice flour, but I didn't have any at home, so I just use blended up oats. Lots of different things that you can do. In substitution, just look it up online, and I'm sure you've got something in your cupboard that you can mix with all-purpose flour to sort of help make sure that your bread doesn't stick to that liner. So I've got my scraper here, my bowl scraper, and I'm going to go along the edge and just sort of loosen the dough, just sort of pulling away from the side of the bowl gently. And once again, we're going to be making a dough that does not need to be cut in half. This is a single bread recipe. So I'm going to take it from one side. Let's see that there. Just sort of flopped out. That's okay. Grab the one side, tuck it over, tuck over each left side and right side, and then finally, this is where your dough scraper comes in handy, or your bench scraper. I just put a little bit of moisture on it, and I'm going to tuck up that last section and use it to turn my dough so that I put the seam on the bottom. So I'm just sort of rolling it. And now that I've put it in its general shape, I'm going to give it another 30 minutes to bench rest, and then we're going to sort of put it in its very final loaf and then pop it into the basket. So we'll just give it 30 minutes to rest and relax here, and we'll come back. All right. And we're ready for the final shape. So to do that, we're going to take our 50% gluten-free flour and 50% all-purpose flour mix, and just cover the outside. I'm going to stick my bench scraper underneath and flip it over. Depending on your basket shape will depend on how you sort of finally shape your dough. And then you just pick it up, pop it into your basket. You do want to make sure that your seam is nice and tight, so I'll sort of pinch up the seam there. Put some more flour around the sides to make sure it doesn't stick. And that's it. I'm going to cover it with a towel. And this is ready for its final proof. So this is going to go in the fridge just like this, and it's going to sit there overnight. The colder the temperature, the slower the fermentation. If I was to leave this out for its final fermentation, for the final proof, I would do it for a much shorter amount of time, but I'm going to do it in the fridge because that colder temperature is going to help develop the flavor. And so we'll stick that in the fridge. When we come back for phase 3, I'm going to show you how I cook my sourdough bread using a cast iron pot. So hang in there with me, and we will be back for phase 3 tomorrow.